I'd have to get you the exact numbers of what that is left to be allocated.
Does it have to do with the war in Iran?
No, this is rebuilding our military from what was not funded in the past under the Biden administration. So this is from 2026, one big beautiful bill, which helped move the president's priorities like Golden Dome for America, move away from all the woke priorities of what the Biden administration was pursuing, give us a chance to start cutting these deals on munitions, all the things that the president wanted us to focus on: shipbuilding, hypersonics. I mean, the Biden administration ignored hypersonics. They just decided to pretend like that technology didn't exist and we shouldn't invest in it. There are things. I don't know what Lloyd Austin did for 4 years. I really don't.
Well, I'm sure
the amount of neglect, the amount of stale thinking and bureaucracy was staggering when we took over. So one big beautiful bill gave us a chance to get caught back up.
Let me interrupt your speech for a minute, Mr. Secretary. It's my turn to ask questions. I've been listening patiently while you made your presentation. You estimated at one point that the cost of the war in Iran was $29 billion.
What is up, everyone? We're breaking down a massive story, making waves on Capitol Hill. Senator Durbin is absolutely calling out the Defense Department for sitting on a mind-blowing $75 billion of unspent funds, and he's pitching a major common-sense pivot. Instead of watching that cash get swallowed up by an escalating Iran conflict, Durbin is demanding we redirect that money right now to where it actually counts. He's pushing to urgently finance new naval shipbuilding, supercharge our hypersonic weapons programs, and lock in a sustained air defense aid package for Ukraine, all to slam the brakes on a disastrous 3-year funding gap that's looming right around the corner. Drop a like, hit subscribe, and let's dive into why this $75 billion shakeup could completely change the game.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Mr. Secretary, I'd like to ask you to help me reconcile some numbers. It's my understanding that this whole supplemental funding request is $87.6 billion, and most of the funding, $67 billion, is for the Department of Defense. Yet we are told the Department of Defense still has $75 billion in unobligated funding from last year's reconciliation package. Is that true?
Roughly correct numbers, yes.
So you left some change on the dresser before you prepared to come for this hearing. What's going to happen to that $75 billion?
Well, that 75 there's plans and designs on that, part of the rebuild of our military, which had to be undertaken. And so the one big beautiful bill gave us specific avenues. I'd have to get you the exact numbers of what that is left to be allocated.
Does it have to do with the war in Iran?
No, this is rebuilding our military from what was not funded in the past under the Biden administration. So this is from 2026, one big beautiful bill, which helped move the president's priorities like Golden Dome for America, move away from all the woke priorities of what the Biden administration was pursuing, give us a chance to start cutting these deals on munitions, all the things that the president wanted us to focus on: shipbuilding, hypersonics. I mean, the Biden administration ignored hypersonics. They just decided to pretend like that technology didn't exist and we shouldn't invest in it. There are things. I don't know what Lloyd Austin did for 4 years. I really don't.
Well, I'm sure
the amount of neglect, the amount of stale thinking and bureaucracy was staggering when we took over. So one big beautiful bill gave us a chance to get caught back up.
Let me interrupt your speech for a minute, Mr. Secretary. It's my turn to ask questions. I've been listening patiently while you made your presentation. You estimated at one point that the cost of the war in Iran was $29 billion. But then added a caveat that there was a replacement of munitions, for example. Do you have a new estimate about what the war has cost us so far in the 5th month of the first year of this war in Iran?
Senator, the estimate we have as of today is $37.5 billion.
And is the current activity, which we've been told about, the exchange of fire back and forth in Iran, an indication that that number is going to go up in the months ahead?
Some of that number captures additional O&M, mill pay, and other that would be anticipated through the fiscal year. So some of that anticipates what costs would be going out in the future as well.
So the new number you've given me is what?
$37.5 billion.
And that represents the cost of the war through what period of time?
Through now for certain aspects of it, but also mill pay, O&M, other anticipated costs through September 30th, Senator.
General Kane, let me ask you a question. I joined a group of senators, some are here, Senator Rounds, Senator Coons, Senator Shaheen, and met with President Zelensky in Turkey during the NATO summit. He was very explicit in terms of what he needed to win. He feels the momentum in Ukraine is moving to his side, and that he is putting a foot forward instead of back. Is that your feeling?
Sir, I think the pressure that Ukraine is putting on Russia is substantive at this point.
Do you acknowledge his request that we help them with air defenses as a high priority?
Sure, I know he's made the request. Whether or not that moves forward is always a debate at our civilian leadership, but I'm aware of that request.
Are you aware of the fact that we appropriated, and the President signed into law, $400 billion of supplemental funding for Ukraine, including money for air defenses?
I am, sir.
Are you also aware the administration has informed us that that money will not be available in many aspects until the next president is in office?
Sure, I'm not aware of that. My understanding was that capital had been allocated, but I'll have to defer to my civilian leadership.
No, I'm sorry to tell you the pay plan tells us to be prepared to spend that money in fiscal year 29. The new president, whoever it may be, will make that decision. If you're talking about air defenses and the momentum on the side of Zelensky, what impact will it have if we cannot fund this for 3 years?
Sure, I want to highlight that the incredible work that the Ukraine industrial base is doing as they scale their own capabilities. It ranges from their surface-to-air capabilities to their air-to-air capabilities. I'll note that recently we had the first air-to-air kill where a Ukrainian F-16 shot down a Russian fighter. So I think their ability to scale their layered defense has come along a long way over the past couple years with the help and assistance of many.
General, thank you for your service to the country, and I'm sorry for our losses. I believe 17 servicemen have given their lives in Iran so far, and hundreds have been injured. We should acknowledge that fact. And let me also say, we're at a moment in history where we can win the war in Ukraine. That victory would be critically important for those people who have fought for more than 4 years against the odds and proven they can put Putin back on his heels. But instead of finding the money that they need now for air defenses, we're putting more money into this exchange with Iran, a war of choice which we never should have entered. Thank you, General.
And the plot absolutely thickens, folks, because Senator Durbin is aggressively probing exactly why there is a staggering $75 billion of unspent defense money just sitting in the Pentagon's coffers, especially when they have the nerve to ask for a massive $87.6 billion funding request. The narrative pushing this new budget is all about rebuilding the military by targeting shipbuilding and hypersonics, essentially abandoning the previous administration's woke priorities. But Durbin isn't backing down. He blasted Defense Secretary Austin's 4-year tenure as neglectful and completely bureaucratic, demanding real answers for the American taxpayer. He hammered home that the Iran war's cost has already risen to $37.5 billion, covering current expenses alongside projected operations, maintenance, and military pay through September 30. Shifting gears to the real front line, the senator noted President Zelensky's urgent push for air defense aid, pointing specifically to the $400 million supplemental funding that was legally approved for Ukraine. But here is the absolute kicker, that life-saving funding won't even be available until the next administration. The allocated capital is literally slated for FY 2029 pending the new president's decision. Even though Ukraine's industrial base has rapidly scaled its layered air defenses, recently achieving its very first F-16 air-to-air kill, this looming 3-year funding gap could completely jeopardize all that hard-fought progress. This is exactly why Durbin is forcefully denouncing the continued funding of the Iran war, passionately urging us to funnel those resources toward Ukraine's victory to truly honor our fallen servicemen.
I have something to show you. And this something is something that the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, really does not want you to see. And it's probably not what you're thinking. I mean, it's not a top secret war plan that Pete Hegseth accidentally posted in a Signal chat, which there's still been no accountability for. It's not photos showing top Trump national security officials checking Twitter in the middle of a military operation. Those exist. It's not even this footage of Pete Hegseth ringing in the new year during his previous life as an anchor for Fox News, our Secretary of Defense, everyone. There he is on your screen. Those things all exist, but it's not any of those things. Now, the thing Pete Hegseth really does not want you to see is this photo. That one right there, the one on your screen. Pete Hegseth at a Pentagon briefing, furrowing his brow as he takes questions about Trump's war of choice in Iran. And the reason I know that Pete Hegseth doesn't want you to see this photo is because the Washington Post is reporting that the Defense Department has now banned press photographers from the Pentagon briefing room over photos his staff have deemed unflattering. Now, that's according to two people familiar with the decision. Just to take a step back here, which is always necessary when you're talking about Pete Hegseth and really a lot of things in this administration. The United States is on the 12th day of a war with Iran. And with everything that the Secretary of Defense has on his plate right now, the thing he is focused on is whether or not press photographers are getting his good side, it seems. The former Fox News Weekend host apparently has very strong feelings about it. Now, this would be very weird, extremely self-involved behavior by a cabinet secretary from a far less important agency than the Department of Defense on a day with far less going on. But to perhaps state the obvious, there are a lot of other things Pete Hegseth should be worrying about right now. Because not only is this war about to enter its third week with no end in sight, but every single day we learn more about what a disastrous job the Trump administration has done in managing everything around this war. I mean, since day one of this war, Pete Hegseth has faced questions about a missile strike on a girls' elementary school in Iran, one that Iranian officials say killed at least 175 people, many of them children. It was one of the worst cases of civilian casualties during a military operation the United States has been directly involved with in decades. And given the evidence of a Tomahawk missile being used, a weapon only a handful of countries have access to, it's been clear that the most likely scenario was that the United States was responsible. And each time Pete Hegseth has been asked about it, he responded with some form of, "We're investigating it," and left it at that. Well, today the New York Times reported on the preliminary findings from that investigation, and they confirm what we all suspected. The United States was at fault for that strike. And people briefed on the investigation told the Times that the military relied on outdated targeting data provided by the Defense Intelligence Agency. Those findings are preliminary, but they are shocking nonetheless, because while mistakes do happen in a war, there are serious questions about whether or not Pete Hegseth's leadership at the Pentagon and what he's done since he started leading the Pentagon may have made this kind of mistake far easier to make. And it's all rooted in how Pete Hegseth has implemented his new vision for America's military since the very moment he walked in the door, one that he likes to articulate with Dr. Seuss-style rhymes.
Maximum lethality, not tepid legality. Violent effect, not politically correct.
You can kill them in a boat, you can kill them in a moat, you can shoot them in the trees, you can shoot them in the knees. I mean, that ridiculous idea was more, though, than just a catchy slogan for Pete Hegseth, which he obviously practiced with his hairbrush in the mirror, because Hegseth actually went about trying to make the U.S. military more deadly and less accountable to the laws of war, following that Dr. Seussian sort of riddle he did there. Remember, this is the same guy who wrote a book where he questioned the necessity of the Geneva Conventions, asking, aren't we just better off winning our wars according to our own rules? He spent his first year in office firing or reassigning military lawyers whose job is to make sure that our armed forces follow the laws of armed conflict.